Is it a smart move to take a step back with Mafia series? You already know we're going to get a new Mafia placed in 1900 Sicily, and from the start that kind of seems sus to me. How to implement a series where is driving and gunplay so essential to this environment? But before we start, tell me your opinion in the comments, because in this stage it's all just speculations and we don't know much yet except basic information. So from the first teaser 3 months ago we did find out few things. It's going to be set in Sicily, very surprisingly, and there will be Cosa Nostra. And there was Lupara. And that was pretty much it. Okay, I get that the first teaser was more symbolic about announcing this game, that it will exist and it will go back to the root, but it was a first hint of unsureness for me, because it means that this game is not going to have a lot in common with the series before. All 3 games before were set in a city, like big city, and American Mafia was mainly operating in these metropoles because of their little shady business, so it was logical move to make an original Mafia in a fictional New York. It's giving you a big chance as a developer to stack a lot of activities and interesting sites on one place. That's the main advantage of video games set in big cities, because then you have a lot of things to do for a player and you don't need to travel far away. From the first official trailer released a couple of days ago, although we saw a lot of countryside, the developers have confirmed that this game will primarily take place in a city. In fact, we're already familiar with this place. That city should be San Celeste, the same fictional town where the prologue of Mafia 2 was set. While the developers mentioned that Operation Husky was happening in that area during time period, the city itself does not appear to be small as one might expect. Based on what we've seen so far, San Celeste looks quite impressive, even though the trailer was only showcasing a single mission, which was primarily set inside a building. The city still managed to convey a strong atmosphere and some potential. When they combine this with an appropriate soundtrack, something that can rival the game's Italian settings in the start of 20th century, the result could be great. The original Mafia was well known for its excellent soundtrack. Of course, I'm looking at these 2 first games, especially in areas like Central Island or Little Italy, and similarly well-crafted soundtrack in the old country could enhance the city atmosphere even more. However, this made me realize something important. San Celeste was not a small town during the events of Mafia 2 in the 1940s. Since the upcoming game is set at the beginning of the 20th century, it's giving me some interesting questions about how the city will be represented in its earlier form. If San Celeste was already a well-developed location at the time, it could really help with the game itself, because if it wasn't, the activities would be significantly limited. So it will be very interesting to look further at development of this game, because especially about this city I have 2 questions. If we will get some leaked or gameplays, but I'm sure we will, as they did with original Mafia remake, and the second thing, how would they fight with making that city still entertaining to Mafia player? Because this is not a Red Dead Redemption, we kind of expect a little bit more action video game. If you played original Mafia, you know that driving car was filling the majority of your gameplay through the whole playtime. Same thing could be applied to the second game, and many consider driving in Mafia 2 better and more fun than in the original. Mainly because we did get newer cars, so they were faster and more playful, and of course Mafia 2 had more arcade driving model, but if you want, there's still a simulation button. The same thing can be also applied on the third game, even I can't tell what was the driving model like, because I have never played it. But it does not matter, who cares about Mafia 3? So what to expect from the old country? Well, we saw some sort of cars in the trailer, and it was super funny because they tried to make an action chase with dynamic camera and guns and jumps and everything, but they were driving some really old first examples of automobiles, and the top speed was probably about 20 miles per hour. This is probably gonna be a little bit controversial part of this game, because if we are really in the absolute start of 20th century, there wouldn't be a single car with top speed more than 50, I guess, so I'm super curious about the implementation and if we actually get some cars chase with them. Maybe they should skip this part and not embarrass themselves, because in this speed I'm not really sure if they are able to come up with something interesting. But they did confirm the cars will be there, so I expect more subtle solution to just simply making a car transportation to longer journeys and be able to use horses. And yes, we will get horses, and I'm glad about it, so they didn't try to make everything about cars, so this could be a good hookup, because if there will be some larger countryside, I'm sure we will enjoy the horses a lot. Next important part. We can see some guns in the trial, and it looks like they haven't gone mad with some machine guns and sniper rifles, and not even with shotguns that much. We can see there's some fancy revolvers and knives. And they again tried to make a super action scene with them, but maybe it looks even more comical than the cars that are looking in the chase. Because it's a Mafia video game, there will probably be some crazy shootouts. I'm just hoping they will not get too crazy, because the story looks like it's going to be very serious. I'm not a gun historic, but from a player perspective, I just hope that we will get solid audiovisual side for the guns and new animations for them, because we did get Mafia 3 animations in Mafia 1 remake, which was absolutely horrible and hideous and I hate it, and just fuck off, I don't want a single Mafia 3 thing in the old country. So, what about story? Well, we saw some Costa Nostra in a teaser and also in a trailer, so I expect a story about young guy trying to gather respect in this not at all corrupted country. That guy is called Enzo Favara and he will probably cut a few corners in law there and there, like killing 40 or 50 people in a mission, as we remember it from the older games, so I believe it's gonna be fun. I can't really tell how the big buster this guy will be, but maybe he will try to play it as they did with original Mafia, so the main protagonist and did get involved with the Mafia by mistake and he's got no other choice than try to stick with them with family and survive. We definitely have to wait for more story info because there's not many information in the moment. So my conclusion from all of that? Well, no one is saying that it can't be a good game, but its time setting is telling us that it's gonna be a lot different than with what we saw earlier in this series. Maybe it will not give us any Mafia game vibe at all. I can imagine this game a lot more like Red Dead Redemption with its slower tempo and more focus on storytelling, but this is Mafia and it should not be compared with Western game. But maybe I'm wrong and it's going to be great. Tell me your opinion in the comments and I will see you soon. Bye.